is a continuation of our news automation series. In our previous video, we talked about news extraction, that is, scraping news from X and from websites, and then checking for its newsworthiness. If you've not seen that video, do well to check our channel for that video, for the previous video. In this one, we're going to be focusing mainly on news transformation. That's basically generating articles for our news and then saving it on Notion. So our news transformation is divided into three. So we have three scenarios. This one, which is the phase one, basically generating the news itself, the news proper. The second one is the human in the loop, the editing, where the human gets to edit the news generated and then approve it. And then the third phase is to generate images for the approved articles and then store it on Notion. So, starting off with phase one, the first module on our scenario, our trigger is Airtable, which is to search records. So we created a new table in Airtable, which is called newsworthy content. So basically, every news that's passed to the newsworthy check and is deemed newsworthy gets saved here. So every news from X, every news from the website. So here we have the author, the title, the content, newsworthiness, justification, the source, created time, modified time, and then transformed. So everything gets saved in this table called newsworthy content. So going back to our first module, so we are searching record. So we are picking the content as well as the transformed column of the table. So the formula is where transformed is empty and content is not empty. So the idea is that so for every row that gets generated, we tick the transform bar. So if the transform bar is not empty, that is, if it's ticked, we skip it and move to the next one that is empty, right? And then we pick, obviously, we need the content to generate the article, right? So where the content is not empty. So after that, the next one is to critique the content, which is OpenAI. So there's a constant. There's how our article looks like. Our articles are very thought provoking, so they raise questions and they answer it too. So this module is in charge of raising questions. So let me open this up. Yeah. So we raise questions, identify questions that ignite users' curiosity. Why is this useful? Why do I need to know about the content now? What does the new tech in the article do? And how does it do it? Who is the CEO? What's the anchor? Basically raise thought-provoking questions that, would ignite curiosity in the reader, right? And then the next module is to fix this critique. That's to answer the questions generated by the previous module. So let us open up. Yeah, so your role is to research the news lead and return every relevant information pertaining to the lead. Follow the suggestions in the critique. In addition, some of the news leads have links in them. Visit those sites, get the most recent information. Basically, it answers the questions raised by this previous ChatGPT by going online to, research for any news leads or any relevant information that would, answer those questions. So the next model on our list is ChatGPT again, which is to generate the article proper. So it makes use of the content, it makes use of the critique, it makes use of the feedback that was generated, puts everything together, and then generates an article for the news. So you'll be given access to the news source from the internet, critique, a rough research done by another agent. That's the feedback. Your job is to then use the information to draft an article that can also be read as a script. So this is responsible for generating the article proper. And then we have the media title, generating an SEO optimized title for the article. And then we create a record. So we created another table or a table called article segments. So this is where our generated article gets stored. So going back to, yes, so we are storing the title, the article, the version, the article identifier. So for the version, an article can have more than one version depending on how many times the editor edits the article. So one article can have one, two, three, as many versions as the editor corrects or generates So the first one generated from here is version one. From our next phase, I'll show you how we go about that. But from our next phase, if the editor reads this, what is generated from version one, and he or she is not satisfied with it, another is generated, that becomes version two. If he or she is still not satisfied, another is generated version three, and so on and so forth. So for this one is version one. Then the article identifier is the unique identifier, the unique ID that we use to identify each article. Okay, the critic and the feedback too, and then it gets stored to article segment. And then the last on the scenario is to update a record. So we go back to newsworthy content. We get the record ID from the first. We get the record ID from the first Airtable, and then we transform it. We tick the transformed content. So that is to say that okay, we've generated article for this content. You can move to the next one in the future. So that is that for this scenario. So moving on to the next one. Okay, before that, when an article gets generated, or when an article gets stored in article segments, that's the title, the article, the version, the article identifier, then an automation happens. So let's go to automation to see that. So notifying teams of article. So when a record is created in article segments, send a Microsoft Teams message. So when a record is created, we send the article alongside the version and the unique identifier to Teams. So I'm going to open up Teams now to show you an example of what that looks like. Yes, so this is an example. There's a new article for you to check out here, ID, version, and then the article itself. So you come here, read. If you have any issues or if you have anything you are not completely satisfied with, you then copy the version ID as well as the version number. And then we have another channel here called news article comment. So this is where the editing happens. This is where the editing takes place. So you come here, start a post, paste, and then your comments, you would drop a comment depending on what you want to adjust in the article. So you drop a comment and then say whatever you want to say. And then let's go back to the second. So what this Teams is looking for, the trigger here is looking for messages in news article comments. That's the editing channel. So when a new message drops with a comment, it goes there, picks that message. The limit is one. It goes there, picks the message from the channel. Then the next module is a ChatGPT module, an open AI module. So this is a comment retrieved from Microsoft Teams. Separates the comment into version, ID, and comment. Finally, please return your response in JSON format like this. So the comment, the ID, the version, new version should be version plus one. Increase the value of the version supplied by one, assigned to new version. Do not wrap the text in a JSON string or anything. Return the dictionary of generated prompt as text. So this is to pass the JSON. This is to iterate, and then this searches for the record on Airtable using the unique identifier, the ID. It searches Airtable for that specific record. So when the article identifier is equals to what is gotten from Teams, and the version is equals to what is gotten from Teams, update a record. So this basically puts in the comment that was dropped in Teams, saves it in that same row, and then this is responsible for generating a new comment, a new article using the comments from Teams. So article is the article to be edited. The human editor writes the comments to make adjustments to the article, correct or edit the article based on the comments made by the human editor. Under no circumstance should you add an intro like certainly here's the edited article. Under no circumstance should you write an intro that is not related to the article. Do not add unknown markdown tags, including those used for headers. We are just adding instruction as to what we don't want to see in the edited article, and telling it to go ahead and generate an article using the comments. So this creates a new record in that same table, that is article segment, a new row, the same article identifier, but different version. So when this is created, it also gets sent to teams. Title, the article, the version, the new version, the article identifier, the critique, and the feedback. So it gets saved on a table. So that is that for scenario two. So it's the same automation that is responsible for sending the message to teams. So it sends the message back to teams that, okay, new article has been generated, but this time a different version, version two, but the same article identifier, the same unique ID. So moving on to the next scenario, scenario five. So peradventure you read the new article on Teams and you're okay with it, you don't have any corrections. So let's open up Teams. So you pick the ID and the version. So it also gets sent to make automation. It's the same process, like I said, just a different ID and a different version. So you just pick when it gets sent, you just pick the version number and the ID. And then we have another channel responsible for storing the approved article details. That's the approved articles. So you come here, paste the ID, paste the version that you are going with, and then this scenario or this module, which is our trigger, Microsoft Teams, it watches for a message in the approved article. That is a different channel from the previous one. So it watches for new messages or new ID and version in the approved article channel, and then this creates a JSON string. So this is retrieved from Microsoft Teams, just like we did in the previous scenario. This, do not wrap the JSON any string, just return the dictionary. Like we did in the previous scenario, this passes the JSON, this iterates through all the record that it pulls from Teams. Then this searches record. So where the article identifier is equals to what is picked from Teams, it searches record for that. So it searches for the title, the article, the version, article identifier, the editor's notes. So it picks all of this. We want to use all of this later on in this scenario. So it picks all of this. So it looks for the formula where the article identifier is equals to what is gotten from the iterator and the version is equals to what is gotten from the iterator. It looks for that specific row. Then it updates the record. So we have an editor's column. So we have an editor's notes. So it searches for that specific record, and then it puts in edited to show that, okay, the editor has edited this and this is what he or she is going with. This is the version he or she is going with. So it puts in edited in that column. So the first thing is to create article segments. So the arrangements that we went with in Notion is basically title, first image, first paragraph, second image, second paragraph, third image, and third paragraph. But what is generated from ChatGPT is a full text, just everything together, concatenated together. So we want to separate them into three different parts so that we can achieve what we want our articles to look like. So this ChatGPT is responsible for separating the article into different segments. So divide the article into three parts. Do not change, rewrite, or remove from the text. Only divide the article into three different parts. Then for each part in the article, in the segment, provide a detailed photorealistic prompt that depicts the biggest idea in each news item. In each news item, the three image prompts or the three parts should be specific enough to generate high quality images in Leonardo AI. So the article must be divided into three parts and stored in part one, part two, part three, respectively. The article must have one prompt for each part, and they will be stored in image prompt 1, image prompt 2, prompt 3 respectively. Do not use markdowns or for any of the text. So this returns the image prompt 1. This returns the image prompt 2. This returns the image prompt 3. Let me just open this up so you see what it looks like. Given the resulting JSON, that's the result from here. Your task is only result the value of image prompt 1 without any formatting. So we did the same for image prompt 2, image prompt 3, part 1, part 2, and part 3. So this is where Leonardo AI comes in. So Leonardo AI takes the results from image prompt 1, takes the result from image prompt 1, and then generates an image. Let me just open this up. Yes, so it takes the results from the first prompt. This is the model we use. You can use any model you deem fit. Number of images to generate 1. Height 102 for width, 102 for. So you just set this according to your preference, and it's sure going to generate your image for you. This is going to generate the second image, the third image. So this iterator is for the first image. Is getting the results from the first image. So we made use of an Azure blob storage to store our images. We had issues kind of uploading the images to Notion. So we made use of, we called an Azure function, and then we saved the images using Azure blob storage. So this HTTP model is using this to get the file from the iterator, and then we upload the first image to blob. So to get a comprehensive breakdown of how we used Azure function, I will drop a link to the repository. I'll drop a link to the repository in the comment section so you can just go through this and see how we, called in Azure function and use that to save the image links. So moving on, this iterator is for the second image. We get the file, we upload to blob. This iterator is for the third image. We get the file, we upload to blob, and then we update a record. So basically, now we're updating the first part, second part, third part, first image prompt, second image prompt, third image prompt, first image, second image, third image. So we are saving a lot now on Airtable for each row. So like I said, the image itself, the URL of the image. So we save all of that on Airtable. So let me open that up. Yes, so we have the first part, the second part, the third part, image prompt 1, prompt 2, the first image, the second image, the third image, the URLs, first URL, second image URL, and third image URL. So let's go back to the scenario. So we have another Airtable here. This is searching for records in article segments, and we're going to be making use of image URL 1, 2, and 3. This is the image URL we got from the blob storage. The feedback, the Twitter thread, these are the columns we'll be needing moving forward. So where article identifier is equals to whatever we get from Teams, and version is equals to what we get from Teams. Get me this URL, this image URL 1, 2, 3, feedback, and Twitter thread. That's basically what this module is saying. And so we go ahead to create a page on Notion. So we are creating it into, that's after you've made your connection as usual. You create into a parent page. You get your parent page ID from Notion itself, or you can map it out here like we did. Then we map in the title, the image URL. Like I said, title, image, first part, image, second part, image, then third part. So that's what we are trying to, call out here. So this is the first image. This is the first part. This is the second image. This is the second part. This is the third image. And this is the third part. So that's what we want it to look like in Notion. So we go ahead and save that. A summary. At the end of every week, we kind of put all the news that happened during the course of the week and then put everything together in one article. So that becomes the summary for the week, but I'm going to be showing you that in the next videos to come. So, but this is responsible for creating summary for each article that will be posted or combined in the final summary in the end of the week. So this is responsible for creating that summary. So for every approved article it generates, it summarizes it for the end of the week. So that's what this is doing basically. So you have to create a short summary of each article that will be posted at the end of the week. This summary should be of way lesser word count than its origin, but should still contain the relevant information from its origin article and contain relevant links. So then we have tweets. We also post on Twitter too. So for every article we generate, we post on Medium, we post on Twitter, we post on Notion. So the article itself gets posted on X article, but then kind of quote it and then we put out these tweets with whatever we quote, with the article we quote. So this is responsible for generating a tweet as well as it's also the same way generating a summary, just generates a short snippet of what the article is talking about, maintaining or keeping relevant points. That article create a brief, befitting summary of 2 or 3 sentences suitable for a Twitter post. So just like what the summary is doing, but this is way shorter than the summary. And then in that same row, in that same record, we add the summary for we add the summary and the tweets for every corresponding article. So that's that for the news transformation. In the next video, we're going to be looking mainly on video generation. So far we've talked about news extraction, we've talked about article generation, we've talked about image generation. The next thing is video generation, because we get to post on YouTube as well as we post on Medium and X. So stay tuned for the next video. Until then, bye.